and welcome to Marshy's Inspired Studio. And so the reason you're here today is because QuickBooks has socked it to us again. Okay, so I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about Enterprise. Okay? But before I do that, I have to let you know that I wrote Grandparent Memories from the Heart. Okay? And I wrote 13 Interactive Challenges to Self-Discovery. You can find those links below. Okay, let's dive in. So, something's on me. Okay, so Enterprise. The good thing about it, looks real familiar to your desktop, right? So, what's great about this, and I have to let you know, I was all geared up to just finally suck it up and go to QuickBooks Online. Because if you are a desktop user for QuickBooks, you realize as of May 1st of 2026, you will no longer be able to buy a desktop product unless it is Enterprise. So you'll have to make that decision whether to go to QuickBooks Online or to go QuickBooks Enterprise. Now, the good thing about it is, and in my case, mine expired April 25th of 2026. So I called them and I was like, okay, I'm ready to convert to QBO. But QuickBooks, the one person I got that day was like, hey, why don't you just do Enterprise? It's actually less money, including the payroll, and all your screens will look the same. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about all that. Because if you've dealt with QuickBooks, put in the comments below your experience. Was it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Put it in the comments. We'd love to know what you have to say. Okay, so here we go. Enterprise, for the most part, just like he said, it looks the same. Everything moved over. Everything, the screens even, my bank feeds, everything moved over. Now, what you need to understand is there's a couple of things. One, the program is different than the payroll. So you will have to call a separate deal for the payroll. And then if you're using T-Sheets or Intuit, which is now T-Sheets, then you'll also have to make a phone call for that. So that's the downside. Anytime you have to call QuickBooks, let me just tell you, ChatGTP helped me more than QuickBooks ever thought about helping me. Okay? Because they didn't know. They just don't know. They're sitting there reading the articles. You would think as many people are having to transfer that they would know these answers, but they don't. Okay. So that's the ugly. That's the nasty. Now, for the Enterprise, it all moved over. But before you do this, this is critical. Critical. Warning. Critical is that you must print out your reports and save your QuickBooks Pro or whatever you're using, a previous version. You've got to save it. But you also need to be printing your P&L, your statement, your payroll number. If they've got retirement, you want to know these numbers to be able to verify that the numbers came over, that the documentation, the file comes over and it is correct. Without that data, you don't know, and then you're shooting in the dark. You're blind at that point. So if I give you any entertainment or value, please like, share, and it helps me keep bringing content to you. Okay, so what else do you need to know about this Enterprise? Everything looks the same. Now, I did have an issue, just so you know, I did have an issue with, and this process took me basically all week, right? Just plan on it. That's going to take you. So one of the issues that I had, well, I had a couple, is that all the information came over for all of the company files. So I have multiple company files because I do books for different companies, and I needed it to all go. Now, what made Enterprise a thumbs up is that I get to keep those companies, and they're not having to pay that subscription fee every single month. So it's saving those companies money. Okay, so that's a good thing. I have to give it to that my interface is staying the same. Got to give it to them for that. Now, how long Enterprise is going to last, who knows? How long are they going to support it? Don't know. Now, Enterprise was designed for big, mid-sized companies. So it's overkill for the companies that I'm doing books for. However, if it's less money than what I was paying for, and I get to keep all the companies, and I'm not having this learning curve, even though I'm certified in QBO, it's constantly changing and evolving. So, there's that. You can have more than one user, right? There's a lot more in-depth things that it can do. One of the things that I love about it, okay, this is a thumbs up, is when I do my recs, and I always go back to reports, banking, and previous reconciliation because I still do the hard copy. And then I also save a backup. So I have to go back to reports, banking, and then look at it. Well, guess what? It has like 5 or 6 months of back data there in Enterprise, which wasn't in the previous versions of QuickBooks, like Desktop Pro. Okay, so that was nice. Okay, the next thing that I had an issue with was payroll. This is why you've got to print out those summaries, the payroll summaries, to make sure. So one of the things when I went to go to do payroll and file taxes, I wasn't able to because one of the companies was showing expired in the subscription, because one of the things that you have to do, so Enterprise, I got Enterprise Gold, and with that comes the payroll rolled in. Okay, which is nice benefit, less money. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, I'm happy. Well, what you have to do, and this is a tidbit for you, this is a bonus, is that you have to call QuickBooks and say, hey, I need to cancel my previous payroll subscription, and they will prorate and refund you the money. And they do that pretty quickly within 5 days. So good job. You know, I have to say hats off. However, when I did it, because you know one of the benefits of Enterprise with the companies being in there, right, is that the payroll, up to 3 companies can use that payroll cycle, which is great. Well, one of the companies ended up showing expired, and I couldn't do any filings. I couldn't pay sales tax. I was kind of stuck. So if I'm helping you in any way, please give me a like, a thumbs up, something, right? Give me something. So what ended up happening is they were able to fix it. And of course, you know, anytime you call QuickBooks, you're on the phone and you have to listen to that piercing music because they always put you on hold. Okay. Got it fixed. The next problem I had was the T-sheets. I couldn't pull over. So let's say you use T-sheets and you have employees and vendors that use it. Well, on the vendors, you have to go back into settings and basically kind of redo it, kind of start over with it to make sure that that time will convert over into your file. Okay? Hope this helped you. You show me a little love. And if you've made the transition, which transition are you going to do? Are you going to do QBO, or are you going to continue with Enterprise? In my final thought here, Enterprise saved my bacon. Okay? It was an aggravation, but not nearly as much of an aggravation for QBO. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And if it wasn't for ChatGTP, I don't know if I would have been able to get through it, to be quite honest with you. Because ChatGTP, I told it where I was at in the process, blah, 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 and it said, oh, do this, do this, do that. Because I was getting errors. I was getting fatal errors. But QuickBooks couldn't help me. However, I got it working. Now, understand, I am not necessarily advocating ChatGTP. I'm just saying it is a tool. It is a resource. You need to double check it. Be cautious. Warning, warning, be cautious. However, it could get you over a hump to get to the next place that you need to for your conversion, whether it is QBO or Enterprise. Because what I ended up doing, because I was all gung-ho about doing QBO, what ended up happening before I made my phone call is I asked ChatGTP, what do I need to do for this conversion? And I ended up making a chart, a check-off checklist of everything that was going to need to happen before I even called QuickBooks. Okay? So if you're going to do, and the other thing I recommend, if you're ending up going to do QBO, you need to follow Hector. Okay? Follow Hector on YouTube. I've been following him for years. He's very detailed, very methodical, and you should watch his like hour-long video on the conversion of how to do it into QBO. From desktop to QBO beforehand. No, I'm not affiliated with him in any way. I'm just telling you from my experience here is that it was extremely helpful for me to take notes and to know what to do, because QuickBooks just kind of leaves you hanging. And if you know what I mean and you're still with me, put it in the comments below. All right. Again, Enterprise looks exactly the same as your desktop. And it pulls over, and the only difference you're going to have is more features, which is not a bad thing. Once you get it moved over. So how long is it going to last? I don't know. It's anybody's guess. I don't know. I hope they keep it for a long time. I really do, until I'm retired. But who knows? They like money. Okay, be blessed and talk to you later. Bye.